Good evening. This is Peter McFarland, the chairman of the Norwood Community Preservation Committee. I'm calling the meeting for tonight, January 13th, 2021, at 5:36 p.m. To order. And our first order of business is we have a new member, which is everything just switched. We'd like to welcome Julie Barber Izza to the committee. Julie, you want to take a minute just to introduce, give us a little background on,
Sure.
why you're interested in the CPC?
Yeah, my name is Julie Barber Izza. My husband and I moved to Norwood about 11 years ago. We have 2 kids that attend Norwood Public Schools. Professionally, I'm a civil engineer. I work for a private design company in Weymouth, and we work on residential projects, commercial projects. I've worked on hospital projects. I've designed some parks downtown Boston. Open space has always been really important to me, as we use a lot of the trails here in Norwood, and I just kind of wanted to get more involved in some of the great things that make Norwood a great place to live.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So next thing we'll do is do a roll call of members, and we'll start with Patty Starr.
Patty Starr here.
Joe Sheehan.
Joe Sheehan here.
I won't go to, Joe Greeley, just in time. Are you here?
Perfect time.
I am here, thank you. Look at all those smiling faces. Sorry for my delay. Happy New
Julie.
Year, all.
You too, Joe.
John Hall.
John Hall. Here.
Tony Esco.
Tony Esco here.
Catherine Walsh.
Here.
Matt Lane.
Matt Lane here.
Okay, we have 2 guests. Lee Leach is on the phone. And
Hello.
Kathy Carney. Gotcha, Lee. And Kathy Carney from town procurement manager. So next order is
You forgot Julie.
Oh,
I'm also here. Julie Barber
Yeah.
Izza here.
okay, sorry. Do it again. Next thing is approval of the minutes from the December 9th meeting. Any motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second,
Don,
Second.
Patty, second. Any discussion? And none, we'll go to a vote. Patty,
Patty Starr, aye.
Joe Sheehan,
Aye.
Joe Greeley.
Really, aye.
Julie, since you're, I don't, if,
I can abstain.
okay. John Hall,
Aye. John Hall.
Tony Esco,
Aye.
Catherine Walsh,
Catherine Walsh, aye.
and Matt Lane.
Aye.
Chair votes yes too. So minutes are approved. So let's see. So next we have our we have a supplemental funding request for the Carillon. It's been submitted by Lee Leach, and Kathy Carney's been working on procurement of the going through the whole thing as far as put out the bid for painting of the tower and also the bell work. Everybody get a chance to look at the application?
Mhm.
Were there any questions as far as the scope that's, the increase? I know the funding is for an additional 200,000, which 137 or so is for the painting. And then other work to be done. So 200,000. I discussed it with Pat and Joe Greeley yesterday, as far as this, there's so many unknowns still. So, and plus the bid for the boundary work was, came in right just under 215,000. So there wasn't really any contingency. So this work is delayed anymore. And we might be going back looking for more money too. So that's why we upped it a little bit. And if anything, you know, as the rule goes, if any money is not spent, it reverts back to CPA, goes back into the unreserved fund after the conclusion of the project. So it's just a matter of hopefully, you know, we were being able to meet during COVID, special town meetings, and we don't know, you know, where we're at as far as meetings. So just felt it would be good to maybe up the contingency fund a little bit on this to get it to 200 and request 200,000 on it. So any questions, anybody else on this?
No.
John Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask Kathy Carney if she has any comments on this issue and what we're planning to do.
Thank you. I don't have any issues with this. I've been dealing with Pat Deshane and Lee Leach. We've had to build in a considerable amount of contingency money. Usually on a project like this, I would at the max probably do about 15%. We've gone 20%, I believe, on the bell work, maybe a little bit more. Just because, as was said, we don't know what we're going to find once we go to start taking those bells down and once we go to start doing the repairs on it. The painting project, I think that one we've given, I believe, a roughly 15% contingency on that, but I don't expect there to be a lot of change orders with that project. We had hired GNAP Design to come in. They helped us spec it all out. They've talked to the experts on the steel work to find out what kind of paint would be the best one to do it. We did have pre-bids on all of these, so all of our contractors had a chance to come in, and social distancing allowed. Take a look at the equipment that we have up there and the tower itself. So I think using these higher amounts of contingency, like I said, it's more than I would normally like to see in a contingency. I'm not one who likes to budget more than I think we absolutely need. However, in this case, there are too many unknowns. And so we do need to make sure that we have the contingency money there for change orders. And what will also happen too is, should either of these companies request a change order, it will first be reviewed by Lee Leach and Pat and myself. We'll also have the designer, Del Ginap, take a look at it too, to make sure that these aren't frivolous change orders and that we're overseeing the budget as tightly as we can.
Thank you.
Very good. Joe Greeley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's important, and Lee and I have talked about this a few times too. And Lee can certainly chime in, but I think it's important not only for us, but also for town meeting to get a good sense of why we've come back, why we are coming back to town meeting. If the requested supplement goes through to town meeting, we've essentially doubled the project scope, not the scope, I should say, the cost. I think not only will it be important for us to do that from a town meeting standpoint, but also, I guess I like to think that it's going to be a learning moment for us as well, for other projects going forward. So Lee and I have talked about it. He has already, probably with Kathy and Bernie's assistance, he's already contemplating a letter to the Board of Selectmen outlining some of those cost variance sources. But I think it's important that document will be an important part of this presentation to town meeting. So, thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman?
Tony?
Just to refresh my memory, because this is additional money,
Have we had a conversation yet on whether or not this was all coming out of historic preservation, this additional sum, or is some of it from unrestricted funds on this
This
application?
will probably be all unrestricted. We haven't really got that far with it yet. 'Cause we just
Okay,
saw the dollar amount today, so as far as
okay.
that goes, we have to have a public hearing in 2 weeks on
Right.
January 27th. And then after we hit the public hearing, we can approve it to the dollar amount and take it from what fund we want to do it from. So, I mean, there's no problem taking it all from unrestricted. So as far as that goes, we're not, that's just that's the paperwork thing that we have to do.
I mean, the bells are beautiful. I'm glad they're being restored. I love the carillon, so.
Same here.
Kathy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention that as far as the funding and the project pretty much doubling, this was requested prior to the CPA or CPC talking about having anyone who's asking for money to kind of meet with me first so that we could go over a budget. Because when I first saw the 215, it was after it was already going to you guys in town meeting. In my professional opinion, it was very low to begin with. And looking at the specialties that are required, steel, when you start adding prevailing wages, bonds, all the rest into this, any project is going to be significantly higher once you're adding in the state requirements. So I think that I don't see this happening in the future because the new procedure that you have set into place, I believe, says that anyone who's considering doing these needs to first talk with me so we can go over it and we can look at it. And I believe Mrs. Iasko knows this because we've been talking about the Morse House, and she and I and Ms. Howard have met and we've discussed that a bit too. And it really is better off all along if we end up having any of the applicants talk with me in procurement first so I can give you a better idea of what's really out there, what the costs are doing out there. And that will help us so that in the future we won't run into these kind of problems. You never know what the bidding atmosphere is going to be like out there, but I know that all of the requirements that we have that are required by state law, that it's always going to increase the price from what, if a nonprofit were to do this, the price that they would pay is going to be lower than what we're going to pay, sometimes 25, 30% lower than what a municipality is going to pay. So seeing that the new guidelines are in place and the applicants will be contacting me prior to any of this, I think that you're going to be able to avoid this kind of situation in the future.
Thank you. As far as that goes, I guess we'd take a vote to move it to public hearing. We haven't, because the other projects have been moved to public hearing already. So this one has to be vetted before the town meeting. So I'll take a motion to accept it and to entertain a motion to someone to say accept it, to move it to approve it, to move it to
Public hearing.
hearing. Sorry.
Public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Other than that, we can take a vote. All right. Vote yea or nay. Patty Starr,
Patty Starr, aye.
Joe Sheehan,
Aye.
Bill Greeley,
Bill Greeley, aye.
Julie,
Julie Barber Issa, aye.
John Hall,
John Hall, aye.
Tony Esco,
Aye.
Kathy Walsh,
Catherine Walsh, aye.
Matt Lane,
Aye.
Peter McFarland, as chair, aye. So we move that to public hearing on January 27th, 5:30. Via GoToMeeting, I guess we'll be using. So as far as that goes, so I think that's it for discussion on that. And then I thank Lee.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, this is Lee Leach. I just
Yeah.
want to thank the chair and the committee for your diligence on this matter. And I will certainly be available for that public hearing meeting as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leach. Lee Leach. Sorry. Okay. So we can move on to our discussion about the special town meeting. Well, we just had, I just kind of talked about the public hearing on January 27th at 5:30. So the only article for this public hearing will be the Caroline project. As far as, right, Pat? There's nothing else that we need to do public hearing.
So we already had our public hearing for the 4 other projects that have, I guess, been delayed since last May. I believe we had this in November, was it?
Mhm.
Yeah, so those are all set. So just by town law, by the CPA town bylaws, we need to have a public hearing for any project before it gets to town meeting. So the Caroline project itself, this supplemental article, as you all voted on recently, it just needs to be its own public hearing. And so I have that already scheduled for the 27th, just because the timing with town meeting being on February 4th. We did get that to the paper preemptively, so we're all set there.
Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is a special town meeting, which is February 4th, a Thursday. How many are not town meeting members here? Patty, Star, you're not? Catherine, you're not? Okay. So as far as, well, we're going to be on virtual anyway, so you can dial in and participate like with everybody else as far as that goes. So I'm not exactly sure what the ground rules yet are for a virtual special town meeting. So that'll be kind of a, we're having those training sessions over the next 2 weeks, I guess, or 3 weeks. And that'll be kind of explained as far as how we'll handle discussions and things like that. So, so I don't have any more to say on it because I don't know.
So it will be using Zoom webinar, if anyone's familiar with that platform. And what we've been doing in planning is Paul and I have been kind of pre-recording, or we will be pre-recording our presentations just to have the process go a little smoother. So I kind of want to bring that up with you all just in terms of a CPA article presentation. Obviously now it looks like we'll have 5 projects to recommend to town meeting. I had just a very brief, I don't know how if we want to make it just a very simple presentation, if we want to go into detail or not with each project, or allow for questions and then have supplemental slides if needed. But that's something, you know, I can just work on and work and present to you, Mr. McFarland, or I don't know what the committee feels about that for a presentation. I know in the past we've had longer presentations or not, but I don't know for this style of town meeting if that is something we want to do. So I just wanted to bring that up with you all.
Speaking just for myself, I'm fine with the plan of having Pat and Peter put things together. I can check things with the rest of us if they find that would be useful.
Okay. I think my first feeling is we can just have a like a slide for each project, and you know what the amount is, and any a couple of sentences about the scope of the project, and if there's any questions, then we have to kind of feel who's the best to respond to those. So as far as that goes, so I'm not anticipating a lot of discussion. You never know. They could, like everything, when you think this, what might not get discussed gets discussed over, you know, to a great extent. So we're prepared for whatever. And I think we'll do fine as far as that goes. So we'll get together and Tony, would like to?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, I know NCM is online here recording, but it just seems like so long ago when Judith and I gave a presentation on the Morse House and when others did theirs that same night. I was wondering if NCM could maybe show that meeting again on Norwood's TV channels just to refresh some people, might catch it, people at home. Okay, I'll look up the date. Yeah, I'll find it. Thank you.
All right. Joe Greeley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just checking from the standpoint of the warrant. Has the warrant already been closed, and do we have like a sequence, an order of business?
Madeline, I think that'd be good for you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Joe. I can answer that. So we signed it last night, and I think it's Article 11 out of 25, if that's helpful.
Okay.
Are we behind?
As long as we're not number 25 of 25, that's good.
Right. No, we got a good slot, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you.
John Hall?
Mr. Chairman, you briefly mentioned the training sessions online. I was notified about that in a letter that I got hard copy only. And it was not possible to click on anything. And when I tried to type it in, it didn't work. So I sent an email to the person who had sent the letter, who emailed me back that he would pass that on to the town because he had no power to do anything even as simple as sending the letter back out by email.
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing, John. Tony?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean about go to Norwood's Town Hall website, town government website. It's right there on the front page of the website. It's like the second article down, and you click on read more and it brings you right into that. And then you register for the program that you want and you'll get an email back.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
With a link.
With a link. That
All right.
was a little confusing, I thought.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Yeah, this is good. This is good to know. I can try to bring this up with Tony or Joe Collins tomorrow.
Okay, good.
But it is on the front page of Norwood's website.
Now I know where to look.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
So as far as that goes, I think how we did on a special town meeting, a great conversation at the February CPC meeting. How'd we do and what we did and didn't do, I guess. As long as the projects get approved, I guess we can move, put those to bed for a while. So anything else? Anybody else have any questions about the special other than that? And we can move on to update on the CPA business and updates. This one here, we do have something to discuss for sure. We had some discussion. Pat, Joe, Greeley, and I had one yesterday regarding the St. Gabriel's Chapel project. As far as closing the project, the PBCC has not been meeting, and the last communication between the PBCC, Ted Callahan and Joe Greeley, was to schedule a meeting with Tony Mazzucco. Joe Greeley reached out to Tony, and Tony said it was in the CPC's hands to if we're going to close it. So there is nothing pending as far as CPC business goes. So there's no active projects. So as far as, and since this is almost going to be by the time we get to the annual, it'll be 2 years since the project was completed. My feeling is we should, as a committee, we should close it, and then we can put back any, yes, I don't know what the balance is that's due, still open on that account, but it's someplace in the 80,000, 85,000 range as far as that goes. So I would, unless really wants to add anything to it, I would entertain an article to close the project. Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The balance in there, I just checked Pat's last financial statement was roughly just about $88,000, 87, I think 87.8. As Peter said, I think the last correspondence I had with Ted, just as an update, was in June of 2020. As far as I can tell, the last time the PBCC met was roughly about a year ago now. In our discussion, Lee and I spoke last week to Tony Mizuko, and Tony confirmed the status that no constructive discussions have occurred in the last several months, and just the way things are going with COVID and meeting, it'll be at least, my guess is 3 to 6 months before anything occurs. So I spoke to Peter yesterday. It's my strong suggestion that we make a motion and take the steps to close it.
Eddie Starr?
Just a quick question. I know at one point they were talking about adding heating. If we close it tonight and then they decide they wanted to do something else to it at a later point, would they come back as a new project then for that?
Yeah, but the thing about that is since it isn't preservation and all that, it might not qualify. That's the only thing I'm thinking about, because it's kind of was beyond. The thing about it is it's beyond the original scope of that project. The original scope of that project was to renovate and restore the building. The heating ventilation issue came up kind of late after, everything was done and it came out so well. I guess, people had other, interests in, having more meetings and things like that, concerts and the like. So then the discussion was having people in that building for more than 2 or 3 hours, or more than a few minutes, or, a service or something. That it wasn't properly vetted for that. So this is kind of, if the projects had considered it as part of the scope, not a problem. But the thing about it is they're trying to, it's like one of these things where we could look at it, but I'm not sure it would. But that's just my feeling from, it's not part of preservation.
Okay, thank you.
But open space, I don't know. I'd rather handle that when we get an application or request for it. John Hall?
A bit more context and a recommendation on the motion. When we were having our strong discussions a couple years ago, they could be boiled down to the belief of the chair of the PBCC that the original terms of the project gave him authority to go ahead with things like heating and ventilating on his own authority. And we indicated in writing to all the necessary persons that this was not the case. This also connects to the fact that if there is money left over, and Joe Greeley has just indicated that there's a substantial amount of money left over, under the terms of the project, that money needs to come to us, not to the town. So I would suggest that the motion that we offer should be not only to close the project, but say, in accordance with the terms of this project, any remaining funds should be returned to the CPC. And I still move.
Okay.
Second.
Do I have a second? Patty Star, second. Any discussions or questions? I know we were just talking about this is Joe Greeley, John Hall, and myself and Pat were the only ones that were on the committee at the time that were involved in this project when it was originally passed. And it was kind of like, not to, say we've been around for a long time, but it's how the body has changed. So if anybody has any questions that are outside that, Joe Sheehan, I'll go to Joe Greeley.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a question. Certainly, as you suggested, we don't want to run afoul as to what we can and cannot do with CPA money. And I guess the question is, would that put us in any jeopardy if we did go forward with someone did ask for something like heating? And I'm just thinking of this for in the future. Could we be penalized in some way? I think it is a good idea to avoid that, that kind of thing.
Well, it's continued use. When we're restoring a property, it's not, you're going to be doing heating and all that. It's part of the preservation process and continuing to use the property. We can help provide money for that. This is just kind of like it wasn't part of the original scope of the work, and it's been kind of gray, and it's been kicking around now. I mean, like I said, this project is almost 2 years completed. And we haven't got any clarification, and Tony's recommendation was CPA close it. I feel that's what we should do. And if it comes up again, we'll see what we'll see what the request is, how much money it is, and all that. We need an application, and we have to vet it like all our applications now too. So I'd rather, since it's been so long, I'd rather close it, and we'll deal with it if it comes, if it comes up again. We can talk about it. So,
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Joe Greeley, I'm sorry.
Great. Mr. Chair, just I do have a motion written up that I think satisfies John's comment or recommendation. If I could, would it be okay if I just shared it with the group and hopefully
Sure,
we can
sure.
amend or adopt?
Sure. Go ahead, Joe. You can, once you get it up.
I need Pat with his magic button to allow.
Allow you to share.
Yeah. Actually, Pat, based on John's comment, I just changed that. I can send you the other one if you want.
I think for the size of the type, I can't read it.
That's pretty succinct. Yep.
What I had, I know that is definitely an eye test, but halfway down there, if you can read that halfway down, it says further detail or part of the motion if needed. So I just deleted that, and I said, to John's point, I said, and let it be further noted that, et cetera, et cetera. So we're basically incorporating that whole thing as the motion. But the second paragraph satisfies John's inquiry as to where the funds will be returned.
Okay. John Hall, did you have, are you all, have you had a chance? Can you read it? And do you agree with it?
Okay, now I'm on. Yes, I can read it, and I'm happy to withdraw my motion if my seconder agrees in favor of this motion.
That's fine.
I do have a couple of minor editorial changes.
Go ahead.
In the first line, take the apostrophe out of its.
Yep, did that.
And in the second line, change addition to additional.
No addition funds, sure, okay. Okay,
Now I think it's fine.
Okay,
very
so
great. So Pat, I'll email that to you right now.
All right.
And Patty needs to decide whether she's good with the
That's
sub.
fine. Yeah,
you're all
that's
set
fine.
with the section?
I
Okay,
am.
so we're adopting this as the,
Substitute.
okay. All right. So, any further discussion with anybody? Okay, who's had a chance? Okay, seeing none, we'll put this to vote. So I'll call, starting with Patty Starr,
Patty Starr, aye.
Joe Sheehan,
Aye.
Joe Greeley,
Joe Greeley, aye.
Julie Barber,
Julie Barber Issa, aye.
John Hall,
John Hall, aye.
Tony Esco,
Tony Esco, aye.
Catherine Walsh,
Catherine Walsh, aye.
Matt Lane,
Aye.
chair votes aye also, so unanimous. So as far as motion to close the project as far as the CPC is concerned, Pat, will you notify, how are we gonna notify? This
I can send a memo to select members.
CPC and then to the financial, who's
Want
this
me to have
for?
it addressed? Would you like me to have it addressed from you
Sure,
as chairman? Yep.
okay. Any other updates on projects that are in process or not much happening, anything else, as far as I know? John Hall?
I could use an update on schedule for the organization and renewal of the committee itself. We now have our full 9, complement of 9. I don't know who is of the 4 at-large members is due to be reappointed this year, and when that normally occurs. I think it'd be helpful to remind us all of that. And I assume that at some point, we're going to want to have an official treasurer again. And I don't know whether Joe is going to love the position enough that he might stay on, or if we need to find one of our other members who's game for the job.
Okay.
Oh.
We put that. See, what happened? Patty, where'd you go?
Patty does not do finances.
Why don't we put that for an update on the February agenda as far as that goes. And if you could look into see who's, the 4 at-large members whose terms are up and what,
Yeah,
what
I talked to Mary Lou about this a while ago. I also talked to Paul about it. I know he mentioned it's the responsibility of the planning of the CPC members to know their own term for ad hoc members. But I'll have to go through Mary Lou again to try to find those actual dates.
Because we had the first year, I think John Hall and I got, we're supposed to be renewed for 3 years, and we only got renewed for 1, and I don't know where it ended up with that, John. John, did you, something? Did I see a hand? No. Okay.
No, I have the same impression as you do, which is you and I travel together.
Yeah.
And the other 2 members are the only ones being renewed in their years.
Yeah. Okay. We'll, all right, we'll get into the bottom of that and we'll talk about it in February as far as that goes. Anything else? I mean, we don't want to keep Tony from going to dinner, so. Beside that, I have nothing more to say as far as that goes. So I guess we can, nobody else has anything to say. I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn. Don't all speak at once.
So moved.
Motion.
Joe and Patty, seconds. Okay, so all in favor, we'll do the roll call again. Patty,
Patty Starr, aye.
okay. Joe Sheehan,
Aye.
Joe Greeley,
Joe Greeley, aye.
Julie Barker,
Julie Barber Isa, aye.
John Hall,
John Hall, aye.
Tony Esco,
Aye.
Catherine Walsh,
Catherine Walsh, aye.
Lane,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. So next meeting will be the public hearing on January 27th, 5:30 via. So on go, well, Pat will send the invitation and then you guys will know what platform we're on then.
Go-to meeting, same time, same link as always.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yep.
That's
Thank
not
you.
changing. Okay.
Good, thanks.
All right.
And it's the same time also.
5:30, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Same time, same place.
In one project to talk about, that's all. Okay.
All right.
Guess we're done. Our business is
Good night.
complete.
Good night.
Good night.